Coming up on Mountain News this morning, state-sponsored COVID-19 testing opens in Corbin today, and officials hope that it helps paint a more detailed picture of the virus's presence here in the mountains. And we talk with one photographer in Laurel County about how she is preparing to reopen her business as more businesses learn when that will be possible. And some parts of the Cumberland Gap National Historical Park are now reopened after the park closed in late March.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. My name is Lacey Roberts, and thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. Today is Tuesday, May 12th, and these past couple days and this weekend have been a little chilly. But speaking with Brandon Robinson this morning, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, which is this week with those 80-degree temperatures. Brandon?
Couple more days, Lacey. If we can hang in there that long, we'll be in the more clear. Of course, we never can get clear this time of the year, but more clear at least. This morning, it's still cold. Let's take a look at the frost advisor. It goes until 9 there for across most of the region there. A couple of counties there. Lawrence County, Kentucky, Wayne County, West Virginia, in Southwest Virginia under a freeze warning also until 9 o'clock. So again, chilly start to this Tuesday. We're looking at temperatures that are running basically in the 30s area-wide this morning, except for Prestonsburg and Huntington. They're still hanging on there, but Pikeville down to 39. Coffee, yeah, a little extra this morning, especially if you're having a hard time getting going already. You'll need that for the cold weather outside as well. So as we take a look at our 12-hour planner, well, it's going to be a chilly day until we get into the mid-morning to afternoon hours as we see a mix of clouds and sun, 60 potentially for a forecast time. Lacey.
Thank you, Brandon. Last night, Governor Andy Beshear announced the latest COVID-19 totals from Sunday and Monday. The governor said testing clinics reported 141 new cases on Sunday. 3 people died, and as of last night, Kentucky has an additional 105 cases and 4 deaths. That brings Kentucky's totals to 6,677 cases and 311 deaths. The governor also said a 10-year-old Kentucky boy is in critical condition and on a ventilator, and emphasized again the virus can hit anyone hard at any age. And starting today, 400 people can be tested at Kroger's COVID-19 drive-through testing at the Corbin Arena. Governor Beshear said last night that those spots were almost filled, but tomorrow and Thursday had more than 800 spots open. WYMT's Emily Bennett talked with local officials about the importance of getting tested.
3 counties, but less than 50 cases.
We really, in the Tri-County area, we have upwards of 150,000 people.
Leaving health officials wondering if the numbers truly are low or if they're unaware of cases.
The concern is we have a population of people with a lot of pre-existing conditions in the community, and we want to make sure that we're not missing something really important to our community's health.
Making Kroger's testing at the Corbin Arena Tuesday through Thursday very important for the region.
They want to really get a feel for how widespread it is in the community.
The testing is by appointment only. People can sign up online or by phone. They have the capacity to test more than 400 people each day.
You'll never get out of your vehicle, and they'll, as far as I understand, they'll give you the swab to actually do the testing yourself, and then they'll take it back from you.
Currently, most of the testing in the Tri-County area is by appointment only.
The hospital's been doing testing since the very beginning, but you had to have a doctor's order.
Now, Governor Beshear is asking people to drive the extra mile to be tested.
He said within a 100-mile radius is what they're looking for. So we really need the people in southern and eastern Kentucky to come down and take the time to get this test so we really get a good idea of what's going on in southeast Kentucky.
Hoping to get a clearer picture of the virus in our community. In Corbin, Emily Bennett, WYMT Mountain News.
That testing is available today through Thursday from 8:30 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. We have a link to schedule an appointment in this story on our website at WYMT.com. And more tests will also be available beginning this week at Pikeville Medical Center. They now have the ability to test 500 people each week. That nearly doubles their original plan. Every day, the partnership with PMC and the Pike County Health Department will provide up to 125 tests. And car dealerships are among the businesses now allowed to reopen to in-person businesses in Kentucky. Most are sanitizing the inside of cars frequently. Many dealerships added protective glass to desks and will no longer send employees on test drives. And some say even when all the restrictions are lifted, they will likely continue some of these practices for even longer. And many businesses were able to reopen on Friday, including car dealerships, pet groomers, manufacturers, and photography. WYMT's Madison Pergram shows us how one photographer is implementing changes as she prepares to open.
The doors at Heather Larkey Photography Studio have stayed shut for weeks.
I did not expect this. The biggest thing is I've had to close my studio, which means not being able to capture big moments in families' lives, like, for example, my newborn and my first birthday sessions are my most popular.
But now under the governor's guidelines, Heather is excited to open her studio once again, but it isn't exactly back to normal.
For example, I will be allowing 24 hours between each studio session. That is just to ensure that I can properly clean and sanitize.
She's had her studio since 2008 and says she knows how much these pictures mean to people.
They are missing those sweet newborn photos. I usually recommend those within the first 2 weeks of life, and several of them have missed that opportunity.
Ensuring the safety of her clients is a top priority.
Especially for my newborn sessions, I will be wearing a mask and gloves because those sessions are more hands-on, where I do most of the posing. And so I just want to make sure that they stay extra safe.
Even with restrictions in place, like it's commonly said, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
These important events, you want to make sure that you capture, and I'm just happy to be able to do that again.
Getting the chance to capture some of life's greatest moments. In Laurel County, Madison Pergram, WYMT Mountain News.
Larkey is also strongly recommending that only the person being photographed and immediate family is present at her sessions. Hiking trails are now reopened at Cumberland Gap National Historical Park after the park closed in late March. The National Park is calling this a phased accessibility plan. This past weekend, the park opened all of the trail, but the trailheads at picnic areas, especially with restrooms nearby, are not open. All national parks work closely with the White House, the CDC, and local health officials on when to reopen trails. Cumberland Gap National Historical Park officials say safety is always a top priority before making any decision.
Safety is paramount. And again, we're stressing it's safety for park neighbors. It's safety for the park visitors, and then it's safety for the park team. If people are not feeling well, they should not be coming to the park.
Park favorites like the Pinnacle Overlook is not accessible by driving, but you can hike to it. For added protection while hiking, officials suggest wearing a face mask. Park officials want to remind visitors that trash collection is still suspended due to the availability of cleaning supplies, so you should pack it and pack it out. More churches are planning to resume in-person church services next week with the governor's recommendation. But some churches are planning to resume services a little bit later after the federal judge's order. One of those churches is in Lincoln County. WYMT Phil Pendleton talked with the pastor of that church yesterday and has more from Stanford.
Churches have found themselves in the crosshairs of a lot of debate since the pandemic started 2 months ago.
There are so many broad opinions on when to reopen and how to reopen, and both sides have medical data and valid reasons.
Starting next Sunday in stages and with caution, Grace Fellowship Church will start having services for the first time in almost 2 months.
We won't have Sunday school, we won't have children's church, we won't have nursery, and we're inviting people to do a drive-in and just park and not come in, as well as those that want to come in will have a certain number that will be available.
Grave estimates the capacity will be about 75 to 100 seated in family units separated from others.
We are recommending to follow the CDC guidances, which means when you come to church, just like you would any other business, bring your mask with you, homemade, store purchased, whatever you have.
Grave says he realizes there's a lot of differing viewpoints regarding whether it is time to resume services or not, but he says it's very important to show respect during this very challenging time for everyone. Some are recommending there not be congregational singing or in choirs. Graves says use some personal wisdom in that.
We did discuss whether or not we're going to have congregational singing, and part of that depends on how far apart we're able to set the groups.
Graves says starting out they will have one service, but that could change based on the interest for these in-person services. In Lincoln County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The pastor told us he is encouraging the older people in the church and those susceptible to health problems to strongly consider still staying at home. The service will be available on the radio and later in the day on a YouTube channel. Meanwhile, the Mountain Arts Center announced yesterday that they have canceled the summer season of Billie Jean Osborne's Kentucky Opry. However, they do plan to have the Kentucky Opry Junior Pros Rock Show on September 5th, as well as a special 30th anniversary reunion weekend with 2 full shows on September 18th and 19th.
6:11 on this Tuesday morning, and it's starting to brighten up a little bit out on Buffalo Mountain there this morning. Be a few clouds though, so kind of overcast skies. We take a look and see what's going on temperature-wise, and you can see everybody but Huntington and Prestonsburg now in the 30s and continuing to drop there. We have already broke the record at Jackson. We'll just have to see how low it goes by about 7 o'clock this morning. It is colder in most areas than it was this time yesterday. Only Williamsburg exactly where they were this time yesterday. We take a look at today's forecast, right around 60, mainly cloudy. Some sunshine will filter through, not as breezy as yesterday. It was cold with that wind yesterday. Headlines as we look ahead, basically cooler temperatures will continue for a couple more days. Mix of sun and clouds today. Rain chances tomorrow, but a warm-up is on the way. We just have to hang in there just a little bit longer. Lacey.
Thank you, Brandon. And thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Coming up, with sports postponed for the foreseeable future, we'll show you how coaches across the country are getting creative.